Hello, I'm Michael Voss, Dean of Instruction for the Applied Science and Technology program, CIS, Business, and the Administration of Justice Studies programs. This short video will be specifically on the role of serving as a ally or perhaps having viewer access in Dropout Detective. So we're opening up here to the standard operating procedure that has been created by a user group of folks using Dropout Detective over the last couple of years. And so it's mostly from the perspective of sense making, understanding the terms and definitions in Dropout Detective, what the role of an ally is versus how faculty use Dropout Detective versus what a viewer might do. So we aren't going to go over all the details of this, but I will send this out as a link. It'll be available if you want to read it in closer detail. The big thing is the definitions here, and I'll cover this when I navigate through the tool itself. But the main thing here is when faculty see Dropout Detective in their Canvas shell, they are viewing a risk analysis just based on the student's academic performance in their course alone. If you're in the admin aspect of Dropout Detective under an ally or viewer role, you see the student's risk assessment ran based on their academic behaviors in all of their courses. So again, it gives you some really valuable information in here. It's worth reading through if you're going to take on a regular role, particularly of being an ally. Okay, so now what I want to do here is I want to go to, okay, there we go. Okay, so now I want to go into Dropout Detective. Let's exit this drawing. And here we are again. We've accessed it through the admin link in the Canvas homepage. Went to Dropout Detective, went to MCC, and it opens up with all students. So now I'm going to pretend that I'm an ally, and I'm trying to check up on my students on a regular basis. So again, things are organized here. We have the students loaded in here by their declared major or their academic intent, and I'm going to go to accounting. So for this example, I am an accounting residential faculty or an advisor assigned to this area, and this week I see that I have 3 pages of students. Each page has 20 students on it, so I have 40 plus 5, so there's 45 of my declared majors actively engaged in Canvas and enrolled at the institution and taking courses. Of those, there are this many in red: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 students are in the red this week. Now, I know in accounting there are 2 residential faculty, and so if they had it in their 40X wildly important goal to follow up on students and do student retention, each of them could probably follow up with 6 students over the course of a week and see how they're doing. Now, what is it that they need to do? Okay, so my recommendation right now is to just focus on the students in the red. I mean, obviously there's people in the yellow too, but the red are at the highest risk. So in an ally role, you would go in and click on a student, and then you would see, okay, this student here is in 2 courses this semester. They're in a GBS 205 and a MGT 253. If it were me, I might click on contacts first, and I'll see, oh, indeed, Andrew Hamilton and Kevin Gates are allies, and so this student is on their accounting, banking, and finance dashboard. And if I click on here, I can also see that this student's specific academic intent is to complete an accounting AAS degree. So that's what that 3149 is. That's a code for Associate of Applied Science degrees. So that's why Andrew and Kevin are tag to the student as allies, because that student has specific academic intent to complete the program of study that those accounting faculty have created for students. So again, I'll go back to the Overview tab, and here I am. Now, Andrew and Kevin do not teach GBS 205 or MGT 253 regularly. They normally teach the accounting prefix courses, so they would never know that this student is struggling in their program. So what can they see? They can see the courses that they're in. They can see their current grade. They can see that they've recorded zeros in several early assignments here in both classes. They can see that they have some missing assignments that will turn into zeros if they don't engage with them soon. And they can see how often they're accessing Canvas. So today is September 12th, and we can see that this student is pretty regularly accessing Canvas, but they're just not being very successful in their academic pursuits at this time. They could click on Notes and see if anyone has created any notes for them. This is probably the most important thing, and we'll come back to this in just a second. They could also click on History and see how the student's risk factor has changed over time. So Dropout Detective runs its algorithm nightly, and so you can see this on a daily basis. You can also click over here and see it on a weekly basis. So you can even see back in spring that this person was high risk as well. Then they didn't take any summer courses, and now they're back to being high risk again. And they can see who the other instructors are. So here's my recommendation on case-based notes. So hopefully these residential faculty have a relationship with this student at this point. They could also go, if they needed more information, they could go to the Declared Majors tab, download the student list. Oops. Give this just a second here while it refreshes. Sort by their program area. They could download the student list, which would give them more information about this particular student. They would get the phone number, the email. They would see how many attempted credits they've had, how many completed credits they've had, what their current GPA is, and all of that. But right now there's no notes. So the hope is that the ally would go in weekly and say, and I always advise, make direct contact with the student first, right? The last thing we want is a bunch of instructional grievances by people overstepping their bounds. But, someone who is connected to a student as an ally, particularly a residential faculty in accounting, has a vested interest in this student's success getting in, through, and out the program. And it's just as important that the people who are supporting students in, through, and out programs connect with their students as it is for the faculty in their teaching the classes that semester. So, students come to college to complete a program of study typically and go out into the workforce or transfer. Yes, they come here to take courses, but those courses lead to the successful completion of a program of study. So, the hope would be that the residential faculty would send the student a message directly, offer some support, and we'll have also sort of a resource sheet that allies can use. So we'll link that as well to this training. And, you could just say something like, or, after you talk with the student, you might also see that the student is in need of particular help. Maybe they don't know how to load Google Docs. So you could choose a retention tag. If you choose a retention tag like this, then there are specific people assigned to the retention tags who will respond in a timely manner. So if I said, talked, he is not understanding how to load Google Docs in Canvas. Please help. Now, if I hit save, it'll record this alert. It'll record this and it'll go right to Patrick Fisher, who then will make an additional connection from a retention perspective and help him through that particular issue. So that's one thing you could do. Or you could just make a note, and encouraged him to meet with faculty during their office hours to create a success plan and try to get back on track. We'll follow up with him next week. Now, if you just hit save there, it just saves it. It'll be under the case notes. Now, probably one thing you don't want to do as an ally is make a note and hit activate alert. If you make a note, please help this student. If you hit save now, then what will happen is anyone who's in an ally role will get that alert. So in this case, if it's Andrew and Kevin doing the follow-up with the students, if they create an alert, they're just going to send an email to themselves. So that's a really important distinction, that if you are the ally and you activate an alert, it goes right back to you. So that's the big distinction between the viewer role and the ally role when you have admin rights in Dropout Detective. Anyone who's an ally gets instant notifications when a person activates an alert. So that's all that's to it. We're hoping that this semester, we have created the tools that you need to see students by their academic intent, by their declared majors, and so that you can better serve them and support them through their academic journey in, through, and out their programs. Thank you, and we will continue to have this discussion within academic affairs to figure out the best practices on how to support students and retain them. Thank you, and have a great day.